Yeah, yeah, that's probably part of it.
It's warm in Seattle. What's going on?
Climate change.
That's the most depressing answer.
But it's true.
And true.
That's exactly, I mean, what do you want me to say?
That it's not.
But that would be fake news.
Oh, don't say that word. Oh, we have an audience. I just realized that.
Deep in my heart.
Just so that everybody knows who's watching the video, Jason Sachs is in the audience. He's going to be on the podcast soon.
Hello, world.
Did you just wave in front of the camera?
I did. Classy.
Weird.
I mean,
Class act.
I think I just looked into the camera, so we're already
We're
already screwed.
a top notch.
Yep.
Steve Haske's here. How you doing, Steve?
Well, aside from my throat being a little bit dry, pretty well. I think.
Yeah, it's warm in Seattle.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about the climate change. We could spend a whole episode on it.
We could.
Oh, we shouldn't. Let's talk about other things instead. By the way, I was going to tell you this before the show, but I will just tell you on the show.
Okay.
Have you ever played Earthbound?
No. Well. Yeah.
That was a weird beginning.
A little bit. Not
Maybe.
much. Not much. Not much of it.
But you know of it.
Yes, I know of it.
So this guy, Ken Bauman, who we found about through the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
wrote this book on Boss Fight Books, which is about kind of a history of Earthbound.
I think I know that book.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
It's over at Pink Gorilla.
Oh, okay.
Friend of the show, Kelsey.
Nice.
Is store. And it's a really cool book, and it reminded me of Earthbound, and it's his experiences with the game, and then kind of a history of the game as well. And so I went back to it, and it's incredible. Like, it's like a really good RPG, because it isn't trying... I don't know if it's because it came out before a lot of the tropes, but it isn't really trying to do all the things that everyone's done. It just does its own thing, and has comedy in it, and it just... Do you know what I mean? It's like... It just feels so unique to this day.
Even though I haven't played very much of it, the director kind of reminds me of like a Japanese new wave director.
Oh, interesting.
In just kind of the way that you were saying, like he just kind of does his own thing.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't really matter what you might expect from an RPG. He's just gonna, give you the story.
A Hideo Kojima kind of way.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, this is just my thing.
Kojima is definitely not anything like a Japanese new wave director.
I know, and I just realized as soon as I said his name, I was like, no one's like him.
Well,
he's very unique.
Yes,
but
he's very unique, but he also wears his influences on his sleeve a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's just interesting how it can stand the test of time. That's all, and I think I realized that. I was like, oh wait, I could just play through this whole game right now, and I'm gonna. So I'm doing that. Anyways, you should check it out if you never played it and beat it or anything.
I mean, I did get a SNES Classic Mini.
Oh, right. It's not on there, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, that's so smart of them. Okay. Well, now I have to get one of those.
I mean, I got one for Super Metroid, which I just finished like a month ago or something.
Like for the first time ever?
Yeah, I had played it when I was a kid, or I guess when I was a teenager, because I didn't have an SNES when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an amazing game. It's really incredible.
Is it? Someone was saying that the controllers are they the same standard size?
Yeah, they're the same.
Okay,
same
cool.
size.
I thought there was some new like modern system came out. The controls were like smaller than the regular ones, but it's not that one.
I think that was the Genesis.
Okay.
Genesis.
Yeah, it's weird. I mentioned this on last episode, I think. I can't remember, but the Commodore 64 has a mini coming out.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm into it. Let's talk about other things. Well, so you are a writer. You have written things.
Yes, I have written.
Wait, would you say you're not a writer?
No, I would say I'm a writer. I would say I'm a writer.
I would say it.
Writer or creative type in general.
Yeah.
Because I do stuff other than writing.
Oh, totally. Well, we'll talk about maybe at the end of the podcast about us working on some sort of film.
Yeah, we could possibly do that.
Keep pinging me about, come on, we got to do this film. Do this film. Other than that, what are you into? Because this whole podcast is about things we're into. And I have plenty of things. Some of them are writing type, storybook type things, which I'll get to later. But what are you into? There's things you're into?
Yeah, lately I've been into documentaries, particularly about sort of the spread of communism in Southeast Asia in the 60s.
Okay, hold on.
Lately.
Hold on. I wasn't ready for that answer.
Nobody ever is.
Okay. And it's warm in here, and I'm starting to sweat. And
It
you
is
just
a
said
little warm in here.
communism. Okay, what do you mean?
Okay, so
Give me an example that you're watching.
So I just watched. Let's see, I've watched a few of them. Oh, no, this is related to the spread of communism. So I watched The Act of Killing.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing too.
It's amazing, too. You're right,
It's
yeah.
an incredible film.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it, and then I also watched The Look of Silence, the sort of sequel
Oh, right.
to it.
That came out recently, right? The Look of Silence one? Or
2014.
Okay, yeah.
2 years after the Act of Killing. But basically, the Act of Killing is about how, what was it, 1965, I think, there was basically a military coup in Indonesia, and a dictatorship took over, and they basically had this genocide of anybody who was against the country, against the dictatorship. They just labeled them as communists and killed them.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that story is that even though the dictatorship dissolved basically, in Indonesia is unofficially a democracy, or I guess they call themselves a democracy now. That happened in the late 90s, I would say. Those people, everybody who was involved in those killings, basically still in power.
Yeah, so it's a democracy, but
Yeah.
not really.
So basically, the Act of Killing, for anybody who hasn't seen it, follows a group of these death squad leaders who were in charge of killings in Jakarta and in that general area around, and they boast about their their exploits.
Yeah.
At that point, the country was still hailing them as heroes, or they were looked at in popular culture as heroes. And what's really interesting and super surreal about the film is that the director actually got in touch with these guys and said, if there was any way that you could recreate sort of your past glories, and you had the ability to do that, how would you do it? And let's basically do it. So they staged all these really kind of insane scenes that were influenced very heavily by Western, films, action films, and things.
Yeah.
About how great it is to kill communists, and
Yeah.
it's just really,
It's messed up.
yeah, it's really messed up.
So enjoy that in your Netflix if you want some heartwarming thing to watch. But no, it is important to watch, and is important to know from history. Talking about that earlier, even tonight, about how history is so important. Know what happened. Do you know what I mean? You have
Yeah.
to understand what happened. And we do repeat ourselves a lot.
Well, actually, they just Ken Burns' Vietnam just.
Oh, I
just
love
got-
that. Yeah.
just got put on.
I should
Netflix.
say I love that. And again, I don't love what happened. It is done very masterfully.
It's really
beautiful.
interesting because I think a lot of people, or at least a lot of Americans, probably when they think about communism in the 60s, they think, if they think about it at all, they probably think just in terms of Vietnam. But it had a huge impact on a lot of different countries.
Oh, yeah.
In that part of the world.
As a lot of conflicts do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, people, especially in this country, I think that here's the point A to point B, and here's the thing that's happening, whether it be terrorism or whatever. And it isn't. It affects everything. We are a global community. We are, to get into this book that I'm reading, we have no idea, which the camera can see, but the podcast can't listen to see, that wasn't English. This idea that we're all connected, it sounds very new agey, but it's just the factual truth. Like, literally everything is connected by particles that kind of don't even separate. We're actually made of things that aren't particles. They're just points in space-time that think that they should be certain things. So my point is, everything's connected.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
one little conflict is not one little conflict.
Yeah, of course not. And so I've been watching a bunch of documentaries that deal with this issue from the perspective of different countries.
Yeah, I'm into it. I want to know your full list. Maybe off podcast, give me the full list.
Yeah, because I can't remember any.
Yeah, that's
any of
fine.
them right now.
You got a couple of them, that's good. And then we'll put those in the show notes. Something similar to that is I've been watching this trailer called Assassination Nation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from the Russo brothers who did Captain America,
They're
Winter
the
Soldier.
best. They're the best directors in the MCU.
Whoa, that is some drop the mic stuff. Really?
They-
Oh, no, okay. Bite your tongue, because what's his butt from Thor Ragnarok?
I mean, he's great, but Ragnarok is not my favorite.
You can go. Jason's a visitor. You can't see him, he's off camera. Jason, get him out of here.
What about James Gunn?
Well, we already talked about him last episode. We don't want to talk about James
All right.
Gunn. I have an update on James Gunn. The cast wants him back.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I bring up because we're talking about past and even present, what's going on right now with a lot of stuff. And it's really about if someone's information online got leaked, what would that do? And not just the simple things you think it would do, but like the actual idea of, oh wait, the whole town has their information leaked. And will people like get mad at each other? Will they fight each other? What will they do? And that's what the movie's about. So it's called Assassination Nation. I'm like obsessed with it. It hasn't come out yet, so.
When's it supposed to come out?
I could look that up, but I didn't.
Well, that's okay.
There's a trailer.
At any rate, what I was going to say about the Russo brothers is they know how to edit in a very kinetic way that I think is missing from
Right.
pretty much every other Marvel movie.
Okay.
And it just works really well, because if there's one thing that that bothers me about comic book films in general, is that a lot of them, and I unfortunately noticed this a lot with Ragnarok, as much as I love Taika Waititi as a director, there's a lot of wide shots, which that's fine, but they do this thing, especially in Ragnarok, I felt like, where I guess there isn't enough editing. And with the amount of CG that you have, it just kind of makes it this sort of amorphous blob that's washing over you.
So now we're doing this then. We're talking about Ragnarok versus, that's what's happening now.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just made all the action in the movie very dull to me.
Well, what I did is I decided that because he was the guy who made We Are in the Shadows, and he is the comedy guy, and he's the New Zealander, right, or whatever, that it was just going to be that movie. And so I wasn't thinking of it as an action movie.
Well, see, that's the other thing. I didn't like it because, or I shouldn't say I didn't like it. I should say that I was disappointed in it, or with it, because I felt like probably for studio reasons, he still had to make it like a Marvel film. So when it's him just being Taika Waititi, it's great.
Right.
But then there are moments where
Oh, I get what you mean.
it's just very atonal. You get a lot of tonal whiplash.
Okay, you know what? You're not wrong there, because I can see, like, when he does his thing, you're like, yeah, that's his film. That's what he's doing. And when he doesn't, it's like, oh, he's got to fill the space with Marvel stuff.
Yeah, they should have just let him make his film.
Yeah.
That's my
Right,
problem
because then
with
it would have
Ragnarok.
been darker and weirder. Okay, so we agree on that. There's nothing I disagree with you on what you just said.
Okay.
That being said, Assassination Nation, check it out. It's going to be a thing, and it's from the studio that they made, which I think is interesting. You have directors who are like awesome and do really good, and they're on top of the game, and they make a studio, and then what movies come out of that, I'm interested.
Yeah, that should be definitely
That's all I'm saying.
worthwhile.
Yeah. Let's talk about writing and books for a minute,
Okay,
if you want,
Yeah.
because, you do the writing.
I do the writing.
I think I decided that, like, you get into a certain age and you go, here's the things I'm good at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And writing, I can do, like, in an article. Like, I can do, like, a good article, a good blog post, a good update, and like a pretty long piece, but not like writing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a certain skill set. So it's not mine, but I feel like it's yours because what I've read from you, I really enjoy.
Well, thanks, Carlos.
Yeah.
I've actually struggled with fiction writing myself, but recently I've been doing some screenwriting, as you know.
Yeah.
And I still have another thing to share with you, which I need to finish tonight, but I'm pretty close to being done with it. And it's been going really well. Like in a session, I've been able to bang out like 3 or 4 pages usually, which is...
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, I
Yeah.
would say.
That's sweet.
And I don't know if it's because it's marrying my love of film with my love of fiction, or if it's because I sort of, when I visualize things, I often visualize them as films, I guess. But for whatever reason, the screenplay format just seems to be working well with me.
And that's good because a lot of people doesn't. I mean, like I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is a lot of direction. And a lot of like extra pieces that isn't just writing.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's in your brain, like that's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with movies, and I've always loved movies. And basically, when I was a teenager, I decided that I was going to start studying film, and just kind of get good at figuring out what things mean, or developing my analytical skills for it.
Yeah.
And I think probably just because of that, and just because I watched so many films, it's really helped me develop that skill of just being able to internalize, or to
Externalize.
Yeah.
If that's a word. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's a word.
Okay.
Yeah, to externalize what's in my head.
Yeah.
Which already, again, kind of looks like a film. It's shot, it's edited like a film. So
it's hard to do because I remember I was working on this. It's something much different, but it was a live Twitter game, which some of the people on the internet know about, for Lifeline. It was this kind of like interactive adventure, and it wasn't just storytelling. It was definitely direction. It was definitely like telling the people who are following this story, which was real for anybody listening or watching, and really happened. But like character goes here. This happens to this character.
Yeah.
Like the exposition of outside of just the thoughts and the words and the dialogue. And that was, it was definitely not easy for me. Like it wasn't something that came second nature. I was like, oh, that's like a difficult thing to do.
Well, I mean, I'm still very, very intimidated by the idea of writing like a novel.
Oh, geez. Who does that? Novelists?
Novelists, I guess.
Write novels.
I mean, the type of fiction I read, which is a lot of genre stuff. I read a lot of pulp and like crime fiction. It is probably a reason I read that stuff, and I identify with it as a writer, because a lot of it is
true to you.
Well, it's kind of more simplified in terms of what's on the page.
Oh, right.
So if I was going to sit down and write like a crime story, I feel like even though that would be very difficult, I could probably do it. Whereas, I'm not going to write something like, I don't know, Murakami or Franzen. Or something.
Murakami's so good.
Oh, I love Murakami. He's my favorite writer.
I feel like he just did a new book. Am I wrong? Or did I just pick up a book that I felt like it was a new book?
He has done a new book, but it's not out here yet. It's
okay.
Gonna be out in October,
I think what happened, yeah, that might be right. I think I picked up an old book that to me was new because I read it yet. I forget which one it was, but every time he brings me into a world that's like so amazing.
I actually went on a Murakami bender, I guess it was late last year.
That's a good name for the episode, by the way, Murakami Bender.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I read like 6 or 7 of his books.
Holy crap! That's the other thing. I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, but can writers like read more? That's like
writers have to read more, I think.
Oh, there you go. That might be it.
I mean, I'm always shouting this from the rooftops to anyone who will bother listening to me. But people don't read enough in general
100%.
these days.
We bring that up on the podcast all the time. That's why there's a book on this table.
Yeah, and that's great. It's it's awesome. But in order to be a good writer, I think, or in order to keep that skill honed, you really have to read.
Yeah.
Because if you're just not reading, or you're just reading stuff online, that doesn't count.
It's huge. It's like, it's the inspiration part of it too, right? It kind of reminds you of stuff. Like, I read Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
And immediately want to write like a sci-fi novel.
Yeah.
Just because
yeah,
you
exactly.
just feel like, oh yeah, that joke, that humor, that stuff, Yeah, totally. Well, here's a couple books I have for you. Mike Reis, do you know him?
I don't know him.
Simpsons. He worked on Simpsons forever. He's like one of the last people working still there.
Okay. His name was familiar, so that's probably why.
He wrote this new book called Simpsons Confidential: Jokes, Secrets, and Outright Lies from a lifetime writing for The Simpsons.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I haven't bought it yet, but that's my next purchase. And I just brought that up because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Simpsons. You've watched them.
Of course, yeah.
I'm guessing that you love, like all of us, the Conan years.
Yeah.
Was it season 4, 5, and 6, whatever? There's these golden years of The Simpsons, and I just wrote down on my notes, Fall of The Simpsons. There's like a million YouTube videos that talk about why that happened and whatever, but
I was thinking about that the other day, actually.
it's not the same. So
No, I mean, well, I think. I mean, I'm not going to say anything profound here that you haven't already thought of, but it's just what happens to a show that's been on the air for 30 years. You can't
sustain it.
Yeah, you can't sustain it. You can't stay relevant. You can't stay on top of things. Also, TV changes, the form changes, comedy changes.
I think that's important too. The comedy changing.
Oh yeah, it's actually speaking of that, even the new season of Arrested Development feels a little.
Mm-hmm.
The comedy has changed out from under it because Mitch Hurwitz is taking such a long time.
Yeah, you're right. That is 100% because like when it first came out, we were all. I mean, and I was gonna say but like we all were like,
yeah,
what is this? Wait, what? Why is the format like that?
Yeah,
like
and now it's changed so much. I mean, even just from season 4 to season 5.
Yeah.
That 5-year gap.
It's funny also because you have Archer now. You like Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody listening, you should check out Archer if you have never heard of it. It's ridiculous. I like it a lot, and I mean, definitely one of the women, I forgot her name, I feel bad, but the mother, she's one of the voices in Archer. And I just feel like it's almost like that same style of, oh, look at this. Obviously it should be this, but nope, we're crazy and it's this. That was maybe a bad description. But
that was a very bad description.
Okay, thank you for grading my description. I could feel that it was wrong as I was saying it.
Maybe an example if you have one.
Okay, so some outlandish thing happens, but to the characters it's normal.
Yeah.
And like outlandish things happen on Arrested Development, and they're kind of like just kind of going with it. And an Archer that happens to the nth degree, and so now if you're not there, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's almost like it's ruined it for. Then you go back to that, and you're like, yeah, well, we already know that's what happens.
Jessica Walter, that's her name.
Thank you very much. And you didn't even have the internet.
It just popped into
for
my
your
head.
brain.
I knew it was Jessica something.
Yeah, she's awesome,
Yeah,
and that show's great.
And she basically plays Lucille in the
right.
There's
no
Archer.
There's no difference. Yeah. So, anyways, the Fall of Simpsons is because of we can say this right now on the podcast that it's because of comedy changing, kind of.
Yeah,
and things being done before.
Between comedy and TV, I think.
Yeah. What is TV anymore? There's no TV. Another book is called Obscura that I found out from the internet. This girl named Jackie on Twitter. That's all I have. I'm sorry. I'll look up the Twitter name. It says, thanks to Jackie on Twitter. She knows who she is.
Obscura.
Obscura.
Tell me
So
about
here's the
book.
definition of obscura, and this is why I wanted to read it. Because again, what I do for this show is I just go to the internet, and I just take things in. So this is one of the things I took in. In the near future, what she did is kind of in a voice. I need the headphones for that. I'm going to do the headphones.
Okay.
Although I can't even hear myself. So just so everybody knows on the podcast, my voice has got a problem. Like it's like an alien voice. If you're watching the video, I'm very far away from the microphone, and I'm like still competing with him who's closer.
Yeah, and well, my voice is also probably quieter, even though I have a deep voice. So
It
I
is
don't know.
quiet and deep. Anyways, I'll read this without the headphones. In the near future, an aggressive and terrifying new form of dementia is affecting victims of all ages. This already sounds sad, but the cause is unknown and the symptoms are disturbing. Dr. Jillian Ryan is on the cutting edge of research and desperately determined to find a cure. She's already lost her husband to the disease, and now her young daughter is slowly succumbing as well. After losing her funding, she is given the unique opportunity to expand her research. She will travel with a NASA team to a space station where the crew has been stricken with symptoms of a similar, inexplicable psychosis, memory loss, trances, and violent, uncontrollable impulses. It's like a horror, creepy story. Crippled by a secret addiction and suffering from creeping paranoia, Jillian finds her journey becoming a nightmare as unexplainable and violent events plague the mission. Then it goes on to say, merging thrilling science fiction adventure with mind-bending psychological suspense. Wall Street Journal best-selling author Joe Hart explores both the vast mysteries of outer space, and this is what got me, and even darker unknown that lies within ourselves.
We went from Christopher Nolan to David Fincher.
Boom.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I mean, like, it felt like, like Event Horizon or something. Like, well, because they go to space. And also, did you see, what's that movie? Oh, my goodness. The deer movie. Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that too.
That felt like that, too, because there's, like, this thing that you don't know why it's happening. And, like, by the way, podcast listeners, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Although, I don't even want to recommend it, because it's disturbing as hell. But if you like disturbing,
I would actually just recommend the director,
The Lobster's
Yorgos
probably better.
Lanthimos. Is that his?
You can go for it.
I think that's his last name.
I like The Lobster better.
The Lobster is, in my opinion, also it is
A better movie. Yeah.
Both are worth seeing though, and he is definitely a director to watch. His films are extremely unique.
They are very unique, so check those out, as well as check out Joe Hart in this book called Obscura, because it seems really interesting. I mean, I've never heard of something like this. So I'm into it.
David Lynch just put out his autobiography.
What?
Yeah, it's like 600 pages.
It's out now?
Yeah, I'm super excited to read it.
Purchasing it tonight. Yeah. Literally, I got paid at midnight. I'm going to purchase it at midnight. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I'm writing it down. I have a space in here because we're already out of time because we had a weird episode today. Your film. Do you want to talk about it? You're doing a short film. I'm helping you with it, supposedly.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want to tell the world, but I'm already saying it.
I mean, yes, I'm doing short film. Hopefully, it will be done in the next. Well, I mean, it will be done in the next few weeks. So.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I guess it's kind of a psychological horror, sort of.
It fits perfectly with my last story, then.
Yeah.
It's basically that. But no. We can't say what it is, right? You want to say what it is? It's about a thing.
It is about a thing. It's about an object.
It's about an object, and it's psychological horror. No, it's gonna be cool, and we'll put a link in the show notes when you finish it.
Yeah.
And I will be working on it a little bit. So that's cool. Anything else that you're into you want to bring up before we're done?
Wong Kar-wai.
Oh, what is that again now?
That is a director.
Right, he is a person.
Yes, he is a person.
And what does he do now?
Well, he's a very famous Chinese director, and he made films like Chungking Express and In the Mood for Love.
Okay.
If you've heard of those.
I have heard of them.
2046.
I've heard of that, and I want it to be a sci-fi thing, and it's not. Or is it? It's not really.
Not really,
Yeah.
but it's... Yeah.
Isn't it like Lovey or something? About romance?
No?
Okay.
I mean...
I don't know what this movie is. I'm thinking of another 2000 movie.
Yeah.
I think I am.
I don't know which movie you're thinking.
Well, anyway, so what are you watching new from him, or something new, or is he?
No, I've been going through some of his old films. He has what people consider an unofficial trilogy, which starts with what is it called? Not Wild at Heart. That's David Lynch.
That's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
It's Wizard of Oz. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Days of Being Wild.
Okay.
And then it goes to In the Mood for Love, which seemingly has nothing to do with the first film. And then 2046 is the end of the trilogy, which is sort of an unofficial sequel, but characters behave in a different way. So you can kind of, it's up to you if you want to interpret it as like it being a sequel that takes place in like an alternate universe or something, or if it's just about a profound transformation that happens in the main character between the two films. But he is actually, speaking of Murakami, he reminds me a lot of him. Doesn't play with magical realism really, but has the same sort of idiosyncrasies, I think. And if you look at Murakami's more grounded stories,
right, he can go there.
That deal with relationships. Wong Kar-wai, I think, does that really, really well. In the Mood for Love, particularly, is one of the best films I've seen in ages. And it's on Filmstruck. If the listeners have a subscription to that.
Did you say Filmstruck?
Yeah.
How do I not know what Filmstruck is?
I don't know.
I know all the digital services, but I don't know that one. What is that?
It's Criterion and TCM's streaming service.
That's really cool, and I can't believe I don't know about it.
I can't believe you don't know about it either.
How expensive is it?
It's about the same price as Netflix. It's like $10 or $11 or
and
something.
there's like a ton of films, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All Criterion and...
So I thought it was all Criterion, but I think it is all Criterion, but it's not all available at once. Or they rotate it out or something. So there is a certain amount of rotation that comes out, but Criterion is so vast.
Yeah.
That I honestly don't think that you ever really, if you're a movie lover, you're never going to run out of.
Oh no, yeah, totally. I'm gonna get that too. I'm gonna get the David Lynch book, and I'm gonna get a subscription to that thing because that sounds great.
Oh yeah,
there's a ton of stuff.
It's amazing. Also, for some reason, a lot of Wong Kar-wai's films are not available on streaming services, so they have some of them. They have In the Mood for Love.
Cool. Well, I wrote about both of them down, and I will say this. This kind of brings up one kind of final point. It is tiring and it is tricky that there's so many services.
Oh yeah.
The positive is that we got away from cable. The negative is we might pay more.
Unless we have friends.
Unless we have friends and we share services.
Honestly, I kind of think everybody's doing that these days.
I guess I share it with I share mine with people, but I just feel like I don't feel comfortable enough not knowing if the service will be on or off to see an episode. Like HBO has to be me. Like I buy HBO. You know what I mean? And if someone else wants to borrow it, that's cool. But I need to see Sharp Objects, which is a series I'm watching. And so, yeah, I guess they are. But I think I probably spend 40 to 50 at least. I mean, I know I do. 40 to 50 at least on a month. You don't?
Filmstruck is the only one that I pay for.
Well, now I'm going to add it. And you're going to make me spend $60. Thanks a lot, Steve Haske. Where can people find you on the Twitters and all the other stuff? Or do you do that stuff? You do that stuff.
Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah. So my Twitter handle is Afraid to Merge.
That's right.
Fun trivia if you can guess what that's from, because it's not just me being afraid to drive, because that would be
weird,
dumb, and weird.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that in the hands of the audience if they want
to
try and figure that out. And I don't know. I freelance for Vice, but I haven't really been doing that recently because I've been working on other stuff. And I guess soon I'll have my short film out. So
we'll put a link.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
We'll let people know.
Guess I'll start a Vimeo.
Are you gonna do that?
Yeah, probably. Unless it's like.
Well, it's so weird. They do this thing where they give you high quality uploads, but then you have to wait in queues. Like once you upload it, they're like, "Cool, we're gonna give you all this stuff for free, but you gotta wait." And I was like, "I gotta wait to upload something?" We'll talk about that offline. It's weird, but I will say also this before I was supposed to lead with this, is that you are one of maybe 4 or 5 people that have been on all the things that I've created in Seattle.
Yes.
Video Game Break, the failed, which I love saying, failed TV show, which was also Video Game Break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just Video Game Break, the TV show.
Yeah.
Failed, but you were on it.
I was
Great
on
guest. Great show. Great episode. I should repurpose that. I'll just cut that out, and I'll just put it back up as a lot of things. People don't know.
People don't know.
Even though I just said it.
No, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, even if they do know, they'll say,
even if they do know, you know what? We talk about Mad Max on that episode, didn't we?
Did we?
Or was that Brad Galloway?
That might have been Brad.
Okay. What did we talk about?
I don't remember.
Shadow Mordor?
No.
Anyways, I'll put that up so I remember what we talked about. Yeah, because neither of us do, obviously. But and then now you're on this show. You're a threefer. You're a trifecta.
Yeah, I'm honored.
Well, I'm honored to have you. People, go back to watch the old episodes. Not watch, listen to. There's 154, 5, 6, whenever this goes up, of them. And if you go back to even like episode 4, there's like stuff in there that I still like watch or that you might have not seen. Like Altered Carbon was like a thing a long time ago that I talked about on this show.
Yeah, which I still haven't seen.
There you
I'm
go.
super behind on TV because I watch movies.
Right. But I think a lot of people are behind on everything because there's so much stuff.
Well, yeah.
Some might say a lot of things.
Well, yeah, and that's and not to go on a tangent, but that is the thing. You kind of have to pick something.
Right. Well, like I said, people watch this show, open up to Google, put up tabs, and then just put in the stuff that we say, and then go check it out later.
Yep.
So go back and watch old episodes. And as of this recording, we might be hitting 20,000 plays on this podcast, which is so great. So thank you so much for listening. I can't believe it. So thank you so much for listening. And with that, I think that's it. There's going to be a live show coming at some point, but that's all in the works. And go check out filmstruck.com. I want to check that out. Steve, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for dealing with the heat, because it's Seattle.
It's
global warming.
It's
We're all dying.
It's everywhere.
We're going to die.
We're all going to die.
Should we do a separate podcast now? It's the remaining of the recording of that GoPro that's just us talking about how we're screwed.
We could.
We shouldn't.